Hi guys, my name's John, Senior Market Analyst at Blueberry Markets. Just going to go over some markets of interest. I usually run the live streams at sort of 2 p.m, but I had something to do today, so a little bit later than usual. But I'm just going to do the same as usual, go over those key charts, go over that key data for the week ahead, kind of just tell you what I'm looking at and tell you what sort of trades that I've been up to recently. I've actually done really well in the markets, and I'm going to show you those moves that I've taken. Hi, Justin. I'm good, thank you. How are you? Hope you're doing well. So, yeah, we're going to kick it off, obviously, with data, as always. See what's coming up for the news ahead. I'll go take a look at the currency heat map, which is a little bit different to the strength meter. It just kind of shows us where those key currencies pairs are sort of positioned and what I believe it could be sort of a good trending market to kind of jump hold of. And yeah, we'll go take a look at some markets. As always, feel free to ask questions, drop me a message on what you're looking at as well. Happy to go take a look at those markets in particular, but I've been very heavily focused on sort of Aussie pairs and Kiwi pairs from sort of the end of last week going into the start of this week. I actually held a Aussie Swiss long position, which came into full targets, looking for potential re-entries on that if we do see a bit of a pullback there. But yeah, I'll go over that as we go through this sort of presentation today. Kicking it off then, let's go over to that key data as usual. I want to be looking at what's coming out this month. Obviously, it's a little bit light yesterday. We had the US bank holiday and bank holiday in Canada. Today, we had some interesting data drop. We saw an increase in CPI month on month from Canada. It didn't come out as expected. Obviously, there were some expectations that we'd see quite a big move for that data. That didn't necessarily happen in the end. So the market may have been slightly disappointed by that. But I actually haven't checked out dollar CADs or anything like that. I haven't checked out many charts today. Like I said, I've been away from the charts for today. So I'm kind of looking at this with fresh eyes with you guys. What I quite like the idea of this week is the manufacturing services PMI, which comes out on Thursday. We've got that from Europe, the UK and the US. So yeah, I think this is going to be potentially one to watch for the end of the week. That's where the volatility really is. Obviously, we do have FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow, which is obviously going to cause a little bit of volatility as well. Is there any kind of language in the FOMC meeting minutes where we can kind of potentially pull out anything that the FOMC have talked about with regards to hiking interest rates, or no, not hiking, sorry, cutting interest rates? That's the big topic of the moment. I don't necessarily see the FOMC cutting interest rates right now. Data's been particularly good out of the US, and we could see that obviously continue. So we'll see how the unemployment claims come out, or the manufacturing and services PMI come out as well. Forecasts are coming a little bit lower, so if we see any misses here as well, it can obviously add fuel to that sort of fire of what we're seeing out of the US at this current moment in time. So that's our data for the week. If we go over to our charts, then we'll have a little look at the strength currency kind of table that I produce. So this is the strength and weakness sort of kind of analysis that I like to do on a sort of day by day, week by week, month on month basis. You're all very, very familiar with the strength meter. If I just go over to the strength meter, this is the currency strength meter. I use this as well every week in my analysis. That's showing us that the dollar is the dominant currency at the moment. CAD still fairly strong at this moment as well, just coming away from those highs. Swiss franc has nosedived essentially, so Swiss franc weakness is something I'm looking to target, and I'm looking to target that against the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, which has started to see a little bit of a move higher as well. So dollar Swiss, CAD Swiss, sort of Kiwi Swiss, Aussie Swiss have been on my radar. the past week and a half. So I'm still kind of looking at those markets. But if we head over to the strength and weakness table and the currency heat map, I'm looking at some specific markets. And one of those markets is, one market that I look at primarily is the US dollar index. I want to see where the dollar index is kind of positioned in the market. That could obviously give us opportunities across the majors, especially those that are heavily weighted to the basket of currencies against the US dollar, which includes the euro, the pound, the Japanese yen. You've got things like the Swedish krona in there as well. So lots of kind of currencies that we can base that off. Now, the only kind of ones that have really brought to my attention are sort of dollar yen longs, dollar Swiss longs. Those are something that I quite like the look of at the moment, especially dollar Swiss. And we did discuss this at length for the past few weeks. Actually, we've been looking at dollar Swiss longs. So that's definitely something I like the look of. Like I said, I've been Aussie Swiss long. So this is basically formed from this table last week. I like the idea of Aussie Swiss long and Aussie yen, and also looking at the likes of sort of Euro Oz short, Euro Kiwi short, Pound Oz, Pound Kiwi short, and then looking at more sort of Kiwi pairs long as well. So Kiwi Swiss, Kiwi yen have been those markets to look at. So let's actually bring on my charts. So you can see here, this is my trade terminal, trading account. You can see in the top left-hand corner, it's live. This is my personal trading account, and you can see this is the trade tracker from yesterday. So I've actually posted a video on YouTube yesterday talking about potential long opportunities coming on Aussie yen. I like the idea of being a buyer of that market. So I ended up going long in and around this area, and ended up coming out with a profit today. Price breached these highs, which was nice, and market continued to kind of push higher up into that sort of 98.60. We've since then seen a sort of decline there. We can see a nice, actually strong rejection back down at this area of what I would call volume. So maybe the market is kind of rejecting this volume. Potentially we could see a continuation on Aussie yen. So I do quite like the look of Aussie yen longs at the moment. Let's just bring that back up here, and we'll go over to TradingView just because it's a little bit easier to see with the prices and whatnot. But yeah, Aussie yen definitely on my radar. I really like the weekly close on Aussie yen last week. I like the fact that we closed above sort of the 97.80 handle. I felt that 98.50 could be targets for buyers, and that seems to be the case. Price has now come into that 98.50, rejected it away. It's pretty much why I got out. I got out at 98.43. So if I just bring this back down, this was my target, 98.43. Essentially, the reason I got out is because I want to be the first person out of the move. I don't want to try and sort of force the market to kind of head towards that sort of 98.60 level of resistance. You know, I want to get out first, essentially. And that started to happen around about that 98.40 level. You can see if I hover my cursor over here on the right-hand side over here, you can see that it says 98.40. So I was happy to get out around that area. But essentially what we had was a really strong bullish weekly close, which I like the look of. I felt that the momentum in the market was to the upside. If I go to the daily chart, the way I kind of sort of look at momentum is by using my averages. Is price trading away from the averages? That tells me that the momentum is bullish here, because we have the 50 MA rolling through here. Price is above that. It's moving away from that average. So obviously the market momentum is to the upside. So the only thing that we could really do then was point out some levels of support and resistance. So 4-hour time frame, one thing that I mentioned in yesterday's video was down towards 97.80. You can still see I've got an alert set down there for that particular move. The second area I said I liked was this kind of zone in here. So the market obviously formed some lows. Okay, we rebounded from those lows. And whenever the market finds a low point in an upward trend, that always piques my interest, because that tells me that buyers are getting involved. If we look down here, you can see the market forms a low. We get a strong push away. We come all the way back to that. We test it. We even breach it, close back above, and the market starts to take off again. We had another sort of attempt back to that. Didn't get back there. But you can see that when the market kind of targets these lows, it can be areas for repositioning. It could be areas for traders to get back into the market on the overall trend. So yeah, essentially all I looked at yesterday was how was the market reacting around these lows? What was the price action at these levels? And if I zoom right in here, you can see that price was essentially slowing down in this area. We can see there's lots of wicks to the upside and the downside of that. That kind of give me a little bit of a clue that the market was starting to slow into that area there. And you know me, I like to be in a sort of upward trend. I want to be looking to buy from swing lows. Okay, lows are areas where buyers are going to see value. Okay, that's the way I kind of look at things. I see buyers seeing value down at these kind of areas here in terms of risk reward and in terms of safety on their trade. I always think of where's the safest place to get involved with the market, especially if risk is going to be fairly tight. So if I wanted my risk below that low there, my sort of optimal entry was down back towards this zone, wasn't it? Getting long here wouldn't suit that type of trade, although you could do that. If you were confident that price was going to move higher, you could get in there, but then you're going to have to sit through all this type of drawdown in order then to see price move higher. From an emotional standpoint, that's going to be hard work, right? Getting into the market here, pushes back against you, you're going to get sort of emotional. You're probably going to think the trade's not going to work out or pan out. So you exit the position. That's why I always think of, if I want to be long, I want to be looking at where everybody else has got long. Where would everybody else get long? Down at this area of support. Where clearly can I define my risk? Below these lows here. If it get taken out, then the market may move down to another area of lows. It may find support then. If it breaches that, then my idea is probably invalidated at that point. I've got it wrong. The market is up to something else and it's probably going to go a different way. But here I felt that this was a good area to be long. This is a good area to have my stop loss. I'll look to target 98.40s and above and see if price can come into that area. So yeah, 98.43 was where I exited the position. But as you can see from my trade terminal, it was a nice little move there. And I still like Aussie yen. The only difference is, if we look at it from a weekly chart point of view now, we've hit that resistance point. Okay, we've hit those targets. Do I need to go rushing back in to try and buy it again up into that level? No, we're testing that level now. Obviously, this could be a really good area. If people are long from down here or from down here, this is going to be a good place for them to exit. Okay, so what we may see is maybe a couple of weeks of a hold here, then a pull back down into this level, even a move back down to the lows, and then maybe either a pullback. At that point, price may stay sort of range bound there. So that's what I'm kind of feeling towards Aussie yen at the moment. If we look at it from a daily chart perspective, you know, do I feel like there's value in getting long here? You know, probably not. The only thing I can see is obviously this was an area where we accumulated and we rallied. So maybe price is kind of retesting that for a continuation, but we'll have a little look. We'll wait and see. I think strong rejections coming in here at 98.50 would probably sort of put me off for now. The other market that I really liked then was Aussie Swiss. So if I go to Aussie Swiss in here, this was another market we've been fairly bullish on as well, alongside dollar Swiss. Again, just comes down to sort of momentum, comes down to the sort of closes in the market. Where has price been? Where is it rediscovered? Where could it go to? So ultimately, we were looking at these lows down here previously. Price found support, really strong bullish candlestick away from that. That was our kind of first alert to say, yeah, that is a good sort of push. Could target these highs, could target in at these swing highs in here. So I ended up taking a long position on Aussie Swiss because if we go down and kind of eliminate the process here, price kind of broke above this area of resistance, held above it. The second day held above it as well. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that I've drawn in some support and resistance. Again, just looking at those lows. If price is going to continue to move lower, it should make consecutive lower lows, right? We're not getting that. Price came in. We had a low form here. Price tried to then trade below those lows and failed, breached back up, and then price started to rally again. If I bring in my trade terminal here, okay, you can see where I started to look at getting in long. So I basically looked at price failing at lows. So it wasn't quite where the most accurate place to get long was, because obviously that was sort of down in this area here. I ended up taking my position here. Okay, I took my position here because at the time I was looking at these lows and I was saying to myself, well, if price fails here, it's going to be a good area to get long. Where's risk? My risk was down towards here. Where's my target? My target is up at this area here, which corresponded to a higher time frame level of resistance. Okay, so I'm looking to see, can price come up into that level of resistance? It did. Ended up taking position here, but I like Aussie Swiss long to the upside. I think this is a good market to have a little look at for those long opportunities. Again, if I just go back into trading view so it looks a little bit cleaner, you can see all this kind of accumulation up here towards that sort of 5,800 area. That to me is a good sort of area to look for opportunities, you know. Sorry, 1 second. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking at there in terms of Aussie Swiss. Let me know if you're following along so far. Also, if you're really interested in seeing where this currency heat map is kept, obviously I've got my own sort of personal charts there. If you head over to Blueberry Market's VIP trading room, I do have my own little section in there called John's Updates. I do post about this in there, so you can see, you can come and screenshot that, you can come and have a look at it in any way, shape or form, see if it will help you in your kind of trading. I also post the sort of daily videos in here, and also some separate analysis as well. So if you think that you know, you might be looking at some markets but you don't really know where to focus, and you're with Blueberry Markets, then you can head over to the trading room and you can take a look at this under John's Updates. Like I said, you can screenshot that in any way, shape or form that you wish. Happy for you to do that. I also post other analysis as well. So one chart that I like the look of last week as well, and going into this week, was Kiwi yen. So I posted about Kiwi yen here, and that was on the 13th of February, which was back here. I like the idea of price continuing to sort of remain bullish, and expected price to continue to sort of trade higher at that point. So it was around about 91.33. We've kind of hit 92.78 now, and I like the idea of price kind of pushing into this area of resistance. So what did I do? Well, I went and traded that information. So coming back into my trade terminal here, let's go on to Kiwi yen. You can see I took 2 positions on Kiwi yen. Let me just put my period separators on there. I took 2 positions. So I took a long position here, okay, and a long position here. And the reason why I took 2 positions on this one, I was fairly confident that price could continue to move higher due to the sort of analysis that I've already done. But also, I like to take some profits off the table at first resistance levels, and then just leave another position open and exit when I feel comfortable to do so. Obviously, I like the idea of Kiwi yen moving higher, and you know, could have held it for another day and eked out, I think it was another sort of 50 pips out of that if I look at the high there, down to that level, 57 pips I could have had extra out of it. But that's the reality of trading. You're not always going to get the whole entire move. But I was really happy with this one. So I got in long down here. Again, think of that sort of principle of what is the market doing? We are bullish here. I want to be a buyer in that market. The daily chart kind of lured me in because we had sort of a pin candle, let's say. Then the next day I was looking to see price come into an area of support. Went down to the 4-hour time frame and I could see basically this was the area I was looking at through here. Okay, so the market came in, found support, boom, move higher. That is my low. That's what I'm focusing on. Is price going to try and go for those lows again? Is it going to hold below those lows? Is it going to reject? Well, it came in. What did it do? It started to reject. And I ended up taking 2 positions. One in here, which was actually from a lower time frame. We'll just go down to the hourly time frame. You can see it a little bit more clearly. Price comes in. I thought that was going to be a higher low, right? So I took my first position. Okay. Price then shot down, come back up, took a second position. Okay. Because price closed above that previous low. It's failing to make new successful lows. If this has obviously closed as a bearish candlestick there, and I think this was around some dollar data as well that dropped on the 13th of Feb. I'll have to go back and have a look. But yeah, essentially price closed back above that level. I ended up taking a secondary position off there, and you can see the market rallied up to second target, first target, back at previous levels of resistance. Okay, and as soon as that hit there, I moved my stop loss to break even, let the market kind of go and do what it wanted to do. Then if I got knocked out for break even, then so be it. But yeah, that was it. So yeah, fairly successful trading week going into sort of last week and into this week already. Obviously had good positions here on Kiwi yen, which I exited yesterday. Had that move on Aussie yen yesterday as well, which was nice. And I had the move on Aussie Swiss, which has obviously paid off pretty nicely as well. So you can see there how I use my analysis to be able to get into these type of markets. So just kind of flicking back, is there anything kind of new that we're looking at here? So Aussie yen obviously still on the list, but we've already talked about that. Euro Kiwi. So I actually got short Euro Kiwi as well, but I actually took myself out. I didn't think the market was moving. So if you have a little look here, this is where I got short in there. I actually had my stop loss above this swing high of 75 pips. I was looking to see if that would continue down to these lows of 120 pips. And it did play out. It did play out. But obviously I had risk allocated elsewhere. I felt that the market at the time wasn't necessarily moving. We had this kind of consolidation there. And yeah, I basically was looking to see, once price kind of broke into this area and then broke back down, was that going to hold and move back up towards that swing high? Then I would have looked for the short again, but we kind of rolled over from here after I took myself out. So that's classic trading 101. That is, get out of a position that's a winning position. I think we've all experienced that at one point or another. But, you know, I was covered on other ends. I had, you know, like I said, Kiwi yen, Aussie yen, things like that. But I do like the idea of Euro Kiwi. So we can have a little look at Euro Kiwi. But like I said, just full discretion there, I did get short on that market. Euro Oz, potentially something for us there as well. Pound Oz, Pound Kiwi. So we'll go take a look at those kind of markets. Now, Pound Aussie is a favourite of Vincent's. I don't think Vincent is in here today, but Pound Aussie was a favourite of Vincent's. He was looking for those long ideas. I didn't necessarily like longs on Pound Aussie because of where price was. I would have liked it if we were kind of clear above this sort of zone that I've got mapped in. You can see this zone was drawn from an area back between September, October 2023, around about that 1.9450. So I like the idea of if we were to breach that, then yeah, I think price could have gone and targeted those areas. At the time, strength and weakness wasn't necessarily pointing for that to happen. And we've ended up just kind of in a little bit of a sideways channel here. So, to me, I always kind of look at it and say, again, where's that sort of value? Where's a good place to get short? So if I take all this analysis off here, if I wanted to be short, where would I want to be short from? Well, I wouldn't want to be short here. Okay, why? Because price has found support in here in the past. It's moved, 340 pips from that area. That is not an area I want to be short in. Here is where I like the idea of being short. Reason being is because it's an extreme, it's a swing high. It's an area where I can see price has, I didn't mean to do that, let's just undo that. Price has rejected. How far have we moved from that high essentially is around about 330 pips as well. So it makes sense not to get short here. Okay, it makes sense to be short here. The alternate to that is obviously if price breaches zones of support and resistance and then continues to the downside. That's the only other way we can look at it. If we look at it from a 4-hour perspective, again, where's that sort of value there in getting short? Maybe up it towards this 194 area. I can see low volume above that, so maybe somewhere here could be a good area of resistance as well. But yeah, not really feeling that one at the moment. Again, I always kind of look at it, if I want to trade pound Oz short, what is pound dollar doing? What is Oz dollar doing? Okay, because that's what you're trading. Pound Oz is formed from pound US dollar versus Aussie US dollar. Okay, so if I go to pound, if I wanted to be short pound Aussie, I want pound US dollar to be at resistance. Okay, now what's happened on cable recently? Well, it came back into these swing lows, the market rallied higher. Okay, so is it at a level of resistance? Minor, we can say it's come up into these daily highs there. What do I need Aussie to do? I need Aussie to be at support, breaking higher. It's kind of attempting to do that at the moment, but it's not strong. So that's why we're getting that sort of consolidation that you're seeing in the market at that time. So that's one that I would say is one just to keep an eye on, but not necessarily something we can take actionable positions on yet. Pound Kiwi, on the other hand, maybe we can have a little look at Kiwi. Kiwi at resistance, okay? So I would be a strong weight here. If we got a close above this level of consolidation, I would say that pound Kiwi could be one to watch because we could see a move up towards this area of resistance or this area of resistance. Kiwi, fairly strong at the moment. I like the idea of being a buyer of the New Zealand dollar. So I'm looking at it against pound, looking at it against euro as well. We've got that kind of channel being built. Euro dollar at the minute is breaching resistance. So again, this one might be a little bit one where we sit on the sidelines, because if that closes above 1.08, where's the most logical area for price to go? It's back up towards these swing highs for targets. So you might be looking more at trying to get long euro US dollar. So going long, going short on the cross pairs is not something you want to particularly look for. Hopefully that all makes sense so far, guys. I like the look of euro dollar here. If we get a strong bullish close, there could be some good areas to look at opportunities in the market. We've obviously had some strong moves just through there. They might fill and give us a good idea of what could happen going forward. New Zealand dollar, obviously very interesting. I like the idea of being a buyer of Kiwi, and it's nearly breaching this area. If we look at it from the strength and weakness point of view, I've put here bearish reversal on the US dollar index. That is more due to the fact that the strength and weakness is saying that it could be a decent break there. But also, if I look at it from a technical on the weekly chart, we came up into that 104.50, rejected, tried to breach it again, closed below. That to me is a sign that are we getting strong buying above that level? Does it mean I think the dollar is weaker? Well, I think the data is still good. We just might have a couple of weeks of a sort of retracement before a move through to that 106. A good sort of tell usually is the sort of bond market. Bonds have been down the past kind of couple of days, so we're kind of floating here at the moment. But if I look at this from a weekly kind of perspective on bonds, I think that could be a strong move here for the 10-year. 2 years are pulling back quite a bit, but again, we've kind of had a consolidation. The market's moved out of that. From a weekly perspective, I think that bond market could still move a little bit higher, 4.7%, maybe even back up into the 5.1s. So that's why I'm fairly bullish dollar right now. Just looking to see, obviously, where it's good to do so. Sometimes we get that kind of ebb and flow, don't we, in the market. Let's just finish on a couple of other things then. So I'm going to finish on gold and silver. Obviously, really like the idea of being bullish silver at the moment. Gold-silver ratio has been something I've been looking at. Obviously, price kind of pulling back at the moment here, but we're at that sort of resistance zone. So I like the idea of maybe even the gold-silver ratio coming down towards this low here, which makes me think silver's a little bit undervalued against gold. Last week, we had a really strong bullish close, and we're getting a pullback this week, which is fantastic. I think that's a good thing to look at. Just going to place a little fib on there. Just want to see how deep that retracement's been on the week so far. Not very deep. I'll be looking at something in that sort of 50% region down through here. So, maybe somewhere in here could be a good area to look at. Low volume again. You got that sort of high pickup in volume, and then you've got a light bit of volume coming in here at 22,450. So yeah, I quite like this area down through here. If price can come back to that point, might be an idea to have a little look at for a long. I'm just going to put an alert on there because I do like the idea of being a buyer of silver. I would like to see it crack 2350. I think if it can crack 2350, then there's a good move up to 2450, potentially 2550. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on as well. If we do see a little bit of retracement in the dollar, commodities could really benefit from the back of that. Even gold being one of them. I actually thought gold would continue to sort of break towards December lows before sort of making a bit of a move to the upside. But I suppose if we're thinking in terms of volume, that's where the volume is here, like that. And it did kind of tap into it before making a move higher. So didn't really judge that one very well. I was expecting maybe a little bit more of a move. I just wanted to see... being a bit greedy, expecting price to come down towards this 1975 before kind of making a bit of a sort of rally again. But it's quite funny because I'm pretty sure when Tuesday the 13th, that was CPI, wasn't it, in the US? Let me just pop this on here. Yeah, CPI in the US, obviously we had really strong, hotter than expected figures there, and the dollar rallied off the back of that. It's just really always interesting to me to see. That was the CPI. Price has just kind of come back within that CPI sort of volatility, and it's coming to sort of, I guess, eat all those orders. Everyone short off of this data now is really panicking. So I think a break above that high, could lead to some decent upside in the short term for gold. But yeah, like I said, I like silver a lot compared to gold. Just I think there's a little bit more value to be had there in terms of opportunities. So that's me. Quick flick onto the stock markets. Starting to see a little bit of a move lower here, which is something I like to see. I think pretty long sort of stock markets right now. So happy to see the markets kind of pull back. I'll be looking for some key areas of support and resistance across the US stock indices. I also like the Hang Seng as well, coming up from the sort of 14,800 lows. If we look at the weekly chart, big move into these lows. If price makes a good move, could be all the way back up into the 22s. So I think there's some good potential value to be had here. Maybe look for some kind of breaches in some technicals. I can see obviously this week prices is kind of pulling back a little bit, which is good. Be looking at these kind of key swing lows. Can price hold Obviously, the China economy is not particularly great, but I just think this is good value, and that's why I'm kind of looking at that market in particular. Let's finish on a bit of Bitcoin. So yeah, we were looking for longs on Bitcoin. We're now into that sort of 52k level, which were these highs back on the 20th of December. So a little bit of a sticking point. Do I think that sticking point is going to hold for long? Probably not. I think we'll probably see a big move up into 64s, but I wouldn't mind a little bit of a pullback here. You know, I like the idea of being in this market, so might have to just keep an eye on it, because that to me is not necessarily great from a selling point of view. So maybe we look at a bit of a breakout, see if we can get some kind of breakout opportunity above 53s on Bitcoin as well. Yeah, ETFs coming in always would be a good thing. Institutional money flowing into Bitcoin. Expected the pullback. Didn't manage to catch the long, unfortunately. So we'll see. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I know this one was a little bit later than usual. Thursday we'll resume normal business. We'll be back on at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining and watching. I really appreciate it. If you did learn something new, or if you are interested in continuing to be a part of the streams, just hit that thumbs up for me. I would really appreciate that. Thank you, Justin, for the shout out. Thank you for being involved. Really appreciate that. And I will catch you on Thursday, guys. Cheers. 𝖥𝖣, thank you as well. Cheers, mate. Thank you. I will catch you on Thursday. Have a great week. And if you are interested in seeing that sort of strength and weakness table, head over into the VIP trading room. See you later.